in the vast, dense architecture degraded and fading, crumbling the last knowledge of humanity obscures. Framed in artificial bodies and consciousness, the souls of the past are no longer restricted but able to roam. Uploads and downloads still melted together. The last of cybernetic life is hunted and experimented. So after it all, who's to blame? Blame has been often called one of, if not the, quintessential cyberpunk manga, framing its dense yet desolate world in the glory of its previously still mostly usable structures. Following Kyrii, a traveler and self-described human who has an extremely powerful blaster. While we follow Kyrii in the story, we are always shaded out of his thoughts, his true mission, origin, purpose, how he got where he is, who he feels like he is, his opinions of others. These are all but shrouded except in our observation of the actions that he takes. Clearly a survivalist at heart, always on alert and ready for the seemingly ceaseless battle encounters, he's famously a man of few words, as are many of the characters met in Blame. After all, information is valuable, and the wrong people are just better off not knowing. Unfortunately, this not knowing leads many to knowing nothing. Still, a surprising amount of people met along the way, whether completely consumed by cybernetics, living in non-flesh bodies, or only partially adjusted, just scrambling to survive. No matter who they are, it seems like so many are kind-hearted and willing to lend a helping hand. After all, I guess it makes sense. When it seems like death is around every corner, you learn to value the connections made, even just in the moment-to-moment. I'm not going to show or spoil anything beyond the general context and pages of the first 2 volumes, because while I think that Blame does clearly communicate a lot of really important and wonderful things, it's the parts between the pages that you impress onto the story that make it yours. The details you focus on that shape some sort of extra narrative. While Kyrii searches for the net terminal gene, you might wonder what that is, and while I could explain the practicality to some extent, figuring it out is sort of an appeal here. The grand detailed structures where every pipe, every loose wire, every crack on the ground has detail and its own shadow. How technology and flesh seem to mesh and mend sometimes seamlessly. The rough, resilient world of Blame pulls a crack at your intrigue. While the characters don't bend their mouths often to fill you in directly much, I do believe that it's possible to piece together the details of the world and fully understand the lore that they're trying to present here. Which, along with the quick-moving, quiet vastness, is probably why I found myself so intrigued by it. It's the same sort of appeal that people find in the lore from FromSoft games, the side narratives and communities. It makes me feel like I could reread Blame and pick up something new about the world and about myself each time. Kind of like Sekiro. I may have just been too blissfully distracted by the world to notice, but on my 5th or 6th playthrough of the game, I noticed these rows of dead bodies and children outside the Senpo Temple that were part of this sick ritual and medical practices in the aims of creating what you meet later, a divine child. This lore adjacent to the main plot, but there in full discoverable detail is what it feels like to read Blame. The different creatures, the small societies and jobs of people living in a post-society and post-job world. That kind of storytelling has gone too far out of fashion in my opinion, and it feels good for once, not to have 10 pages of conversation explaining everything to me. Just show me. And show it does. I keep mentioning the size and scale of Blame, and that isn't without cause. I think Blame intends to capitalize on this exact art style in a very meaningful way. It capitalizes on that Lovecraftian cosmic terror of beings, groups, structures that far outmatch and outscale our own understanding, yet are still real. When you see a pocket of humans trying to just keep surviving, dwarfed by an unstoppable force of uncaring, unrelenting terror, there is some sort of horrific beauty in witnessing it all. But while Lovecraftian cosmicism lingered more in the meaningless and absurd continuity of humans to keep moving despite the impossible odds at their back, I think it clearly shows that Blame shoots those monsters of myth straight in the head. And the bullet doesn't just clink off or do a little scratch, the beam slices straight through those monsters. Blame is probably the most known for two things, its cyberpunk status and its body horror. Never have I seen such horrific bastardizations of the human form as in Blame, and yet, while these images could just as easily fit in my worst nightmares, I'm left agape at its odd beauty. This is demonstrated in a few of the colored renditions as well, not colored to accuracy, but instead to expression and mood, painted with more serene blues, soft greens, and watercolor pinkish reds. All the while, things they color inspire question, intrigue, or terror. It's a zen type of resilience that Blame puts on display, that while the fears at our backs may sometimes be just as massive and crushing as we don't want to believe that they are, they can still be overcome. There is still a chance, and if cornered, and if you do truly go down, that you still have the ability to face your loss with pride and dignity. But I would say that Blame, without any further details, at least the way I see it, ends more positively than some of its contemporaries or similar works like Girls Last Tour, which I previously covered on this channel, and which seems to have taken a lot of influence from Blame. Like the vast structures and the girl's journey up the layers to a safe point, Blame is a classic, no doubt. But despite countless mid to poorly received adaptations, it seems clear to me that the best way to experience Blame is to look into its pages. That level of detail and beauty very well may be too detailed for a proper, faithful transition into animation. Lastly, something that I like about Blame, that I think I've already somewhat described here, is its bold opposal to the seemingly cosmic beings against us, is that despite it being one of the most depressing, brutal, and horrible stories I have ever seen put to fiction, it still feels comforting, and it still feels positive. Too many stories fall into this fake deep, humans bad, period philosophy, and that doesn't offer much intellectually or practically. But I believe that the greater you cast a world into darkness through media, the greater a practical and forward-striving philosophy will shine. And shine it does. The world of Blame is where it is, largely due to a terrorist incident and a few irrationally self-serving individuals who look too much toward the brief future instead of the long one. Instead of some cynicism about nothing, that since humanity has fallen, then it must have been some great encompassing moral error. No. Humanity can still recover, no matter how difficult or unlikely. And this punishment, this failure, isn't some almighty sin. Failure isn't punishment for an all-encompassing sin. It's just that, failure. And after each failure, there will be someone to try again. Try again to make something right. We all make mistakes and we all change, but more than anything, we're just doing our best to move forward, to do the next thing, even if we perhaps can never grasp the level of strength that will oppose us. Still, we have a mission and a purpose, and push onward, we shall. We have a lot of amazing stuff going on in this community, so please let me entice you here. My channel suffered a copyright strike recently, which killed my last video in the algorithm, but now that the strike is gone, I am so happy to be back. Please help me get this video shared. I spent countless hours animating all of the edits that you saw, taking individual panels of the manga and making them move, so I hope that you enjoyed and would be willing to leave a like or a comment. I still continue to stream every single day on Twitch, and get this, the community has been building in activities. We have monthly contests, competitions, movie nights, and most recently I have opened a P.O. box in downtown Dallas where I will be opening your packages on stream once a month. Sometimes I even get to play Among Us with you guys in the Discord server. And so, if any of this sounds interesting to you, please consider becoming a patron or checking out my Twitch. We are currently replaying Persona 5 Royal, and are almost to the third semester new juicy content. And after I finally get my hands on one of those non-scalped PS5s, I'll be able to do a full run of Demon Souls. I'm just trying to say, I'm back, and I hope that you will come by for all the amazing stuff that I have going on and trying to put together right now. Like my side channel that will be home to edited stream highlights and other essay content, as well as anything I want to upload, Hiding Kun Live. I know that it's a lot to overwhelm you with at this moment, but this community is so friendly and enriching, and I need to tell you guys what I'm up to more often. Also, if you want to read Blame, I tried finding good scans online, and there was basically no competition. None are better than the ones on Bookwalker. Use code HIDING, and you can get 600 yen off your purchase, and experience Blame in full immaculate digital quality all you want. Finally, I want to kick things back in gear, so thanks to Whizbang2093, Friendly Neighbor, My Name is Klein, Frillneck Lizard, CJ, Sam Lloyd, Jose Ramirez, and all of my other patrons and Twitch subscribers. I will see you soon.